Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, Energized by Celsius. It is a Wednesday edition of the show, and it's going to be the best one yet because we have another guest on the show, another Tampa Bay Buccaneers player. Before we get to that, I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is JC Allen, also of PewterReport.com. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, our guest of the day, Bucs cornerback, Dee Delaney. Dee, thank you so much for joining the show. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing all right. Thank you guys for having me. It's a little rainy out here, but it's a good day.
Well, we're getting to that time of the year, specifically in Tampa, where it rains at least once, like every single day, and it'll monsoon for about 45 minutes, and then you're good to go for the rest of the day. But that just means that training camp is right around the corner. It'll be starting next week. So how much are you looking forward to just getting back on the field? It feels like it's been a while, even though OTAs and minicamp was only a little over a month ago.
I'm ready to get back, man. I mean, like you said, really like a month ago, but it feel like forever to me. Being out the league for 2 years, I'm just ready to get back in it. I don't want to be out that long no more. I'm ready to get back to work.
Absolutely. We were joking around, you just showed up all over the place during OTAs or mandatory minicamp, dubbed the Pewter Report MVP of the offseason work. What have you been doing to kind of improve your game and kind of take it to that next level to make sure you do, you stay in the league and you specifically stay with the Bucs?
Working on my speed, a lot of speed work, and just a lot of formations, tendencies, trying to see what a lot of teams do as far as receivers, see what they like to do, just get smarter in the game. That's one thing Coach Bull was kind of telling us this OTA, the mini camp. Just try to learn and see what teams do. All teams do the same thing, but try to be specific and see what all they do so you can be faster, play faster.
And Coach Bowles is the head man in charge this year. He's the new head coach, but he's been in the organization. Obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, maybe not as much of a transition, but what have you seen just the differences between Bruce Arians as the head coach and now with Todd Bowles as the head coach in that short amount of time that, he's been at the helm?
I see a lot more competition. People actually I want to say like fair, but they know, okay, I got to come to work today. Coach Bowles not playing around. We got to be on our A game. There's competition in the room, in each and every room. Everybody got to trying to get the starting job, new coach, so everybody trying to, get on his good side. So I feel like with Coach Bowles, every day, like I guess you got to come to work. No days off, literally.
A little more laid back under Bruce Arians last year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like, coming off Super Bowl, everybody pretty much already knew their role, where they were doing at, where they were going to be at. So they were kind of chill and laid back. But I think now with Coach Bowles there, he trying to get back himself. So I think he's going to turn it up a notch on us, definitely.
Just make sure open competition to an extent everywhere, whoever the best man is going to play. But last year, Bruce Arians was like, he was in your corner. Like, the media would ask about, Dee Delaney and he would be like, Dee's a dog. And like, what did it mean for you to have the head coach and a guy like Bruce Arians in your corner backing you at all times?
So, I mean, it's kind of crazy because I didn't really get into much social media or didn't really look at, the interview or anything like that. My uncle, I got two uncles, they look at all you guys stuff. They always try to tell me, but I was telling me I don't really try to worry about that too much because I try to control what I can control, and try to put the best effort out. I feel like if I listen to stuff like that, I'll begin to relax or, get complacent. So I just try to ignore all of that and just go hard each and every day because I know every day is a fight for a job,
So you didn't even know that Bruce was kind of like in your corner and back into the media at all last year? You're just kind of in your own and doing your own thing?
I mean, honestly, when we had the practice with the Titans, he'd always tell me, "Oh, you got to go hard, good play." But I never really.
Oh yeah.
I don't really think that anybody's in your corner. That's how I look at it. I try to be okay. I mean, it's by myself. I got to go hard, each and every day.
Yeah, I hear you because at the end of the day, you're fighting for a job. You're fighting in that competition every single day. And I just wanted to ask you, how fulfilling was it for you to earn a spot on this team last season when you bounced around the league a little bit, playing for a couple different teams to really cement your place on the roster and not just being on the team, but like really being a contributor last season with, the injuries that happened in the secondary, and you played a ton of snaps on special teams, the most in your career that you have. Just How great was that? You know, a sense of accomplishment while also, you know, keeping your eye on the prize at the same time.
I mean, it was a good feeling, you know. Like I said, being out the league for 2 years, I kind of felt like, oh man, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I just gotta hang it up. But just getting back in the groove of things, being out there with the guys, getting the speed of the game, actually making a roster. I mean, I felt good, man. That's probably the highest I've ever been in a long time. So, you know, just going out there, like you said, playing a lot of minutes and just get back in the groove of things. I feel like good. I feel like coming in this year, trying to build off of that, I feel like this year will be even better.
Have you felt more of a grasp of the playbook with, you know, Todd Bowles' defense is one of the most unique type of defenses around the league. I mean, you'll have plays where Levante David lines up as an edge rusher, or Vita Vea lines, you know, drops back in coverage. You know, you don't see that all the time with the huge nose tackle like that. How much do you enjoy playing in a Todd Bowles type of defense?
Honestly, I love it. I mean, I don't want to play no other defense. Like you said, he got so many different disguises and things like that. And like last year, our cornerback coach, he started to make us like actually learn every position so you could play it faster. So by us doing that, I kind of got to see what Coach Bo was thinking here and there. And just knowing each and every position helps you play faster. So, I mean, I like it, honestly.
Speaking of having to play faster, you've got some guys on the other side of you that can play pretty fast, and Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, not to mention, you know, Scotty Miller, who's got blazing speed, Cyril Grayson. What has it been like going up against those guys in practice to help you elevate your game each and every week?
I think going against Mike, you know, he's been in the league so long. He's a crafty veteran. He know what to do. So, you know, going against him, I take that more as a learning experience. You know, okay, this what guys like his caliber, this what they're gonna do. Now, guys like Scotty Miller and JD and Godwin, I mean, those guys, they fast. They're gonna do what they do. So I know for Scotty, for example, he's gonna go. So if you come out there like some days ago playing around, he's gonna go. Cyril, he's gonna go. Those are the type of guys you can't just come out of practice like some days ago. Oh, I'm just gonna ease in the practice. No, you can't do that, because at any moment they can run 100-yard goal ball on you, and now you look bad. So I felt like going to get those guys every day, you got to be in your A game.
Who's the fastest player on the Bucs? Because I think a couple of guys have, you know, might take that claim for their own fame of being the fastest guy on this team. We asked Cyril that question, and he had an interesting response. But before I tell you what he said, I'm curious. And you could say yourself too if you want to throw yourself into the ring.
I'm far from the fastest guy. I know that for a fact. But I don't know. I mean, I think two guys who I got in my mind for sure is Jamel Dean and Rashad Robinson. You know, those two can go. I done seen Rashad get down the field. So if I had to decide between those two, I'm gonna go with Rashad. I think he's the fastest on the team, and he's much lighter than Dean, so I feel like he can go.
That's exactly what Cyril's answer was. Yeah. So that's so fun. All right, so I think we're getting a much more clear-cut answer to that question now that we asked more Buccaneers players. But I don't want you to sell yourself short either, because I was reading up on this. So in high school, you played multiple sports and got 14 varsity letters. I believe those sports, and correct me if I'm wrong, football, obviously, track, baseball, and basketball. So you obviously had some speed if you're going to be on the track team. And of course, like to play in the NFL, assuming that football is your best sport because you are a pro football player, rank the other three. What were you the best at in those other sports?
So honestly, baseball was my best sport.
Like, really? Wow.
Yeah. That just came natural to me. I didn't really have to practice too much. That just came natural, but it was so boring. I didn't really like. I just felt like I feel like 9 innings was just too long just to be in the outfield, just waiting on somebody to hit the ball. So I never really fell in love with that, you know. But I would go baseball, football, then basketball, and then track. I did track while I was doing baseball. That was more of they needed somebody to run hurdles, so I just went out there and ran hurdles.
They'll just tell you to run track in the offseason.
That's it for that. I don't know.
Yeah. And while we're talking about speed, this is a good time to mention to all of our readers and listeners that this podcast, of course, is sponsored by Celsius, and Celsius has the Fast Brand protein bars. Guys, if you don't know about the Fast Brands, they are a delicious protein bar, 20 grams of protein, and it tastes like candy. They're the perfect substitute. Maybe if you wake up a little too late and you can't have breakfast, just have a protein bar. You're good to go. Hold you over until lunch. If you're going to go and work out, pump some iron. I know a lot of times Scott Reynolds, the face of Pewter Report, he works out after the show. Get that in your stomach. Have it good to go. Make sure you order it on Amazon. Save some money. You can set up whether you want to send it to your house every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. It's a great substitute for any type of meal if you're on the go. Maybe you're on a flight and it's delayed a little bit and you're getting hungry. Just pack a Celsius Fast Brand protein bar. It's a perfect substitute for dessert as well. There's 2 flavors. There's the white chocolate cookies and cream and the salted caramel peanut brunch. So make sure you get a Celsius Fast Brand protein bar and you will not be disappointed. Dee, I want to ask you as well, at the beginning of your career, we just talked about your high school sports, so let's transition to college. Yeah. You began your college career at the Citadel, and then after graduating, you played a season at the University of Miami. How's that transition going from one school to the next? And was that a calculated move to, better yourself to try to get into the NFL?
So as far as school-wise, pretty much the same. I mean, besides the military part, I think the military part is totally different, going from the Citadel to Miami. They do whatever they want out there. But, I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, I felt like in my mind, I needed to go to Miami as far as the speed-wise of the game. I felt like being at the Citadel, I was kind of faster. In my mind, I felt like I was better, and I didn't feel like I was really getting challenged there. So going to Miami was something that me and my coach talked about. And, I mean, I would say it was a real good learning experience for me. It wasn't what I thought the season would be like, but I feel like it was a good learning experience. It helped me toward the NFL as far as diversity-wise.
Right, and again, that level of competition, like you said, going from a small to a place like the U. I mean, it's not the U of the '80s, but it's still, it's still a very prominent school, and they play a lot of good competition there. Was cornerback always your position, or did you ever was there any other positions you played or wanted to play, or how did you end up at cornerback?
So I actually played wide receiver in high school, and the Citadel coach came to my high school and he was like, man, because I didn't want to go to the Citadel at all. I didn't want to do it in the military, but he was like, man, do you want to go to the NFL? His name Jared Dixon. He played cornerback for Alabama, played in the league for a little while. He like, do you want to go to the NFL? I was like, of course, why I want now? He was like, well, if you want to go to the NFL, switch over to cornerback, and I promise you be in the NFL. So, I mean, I felt like, okay, I went there, and he ended up leaving after my first year. I was like, dang, that's crazy. Now what I do, But just by him telling me, you know what I'm saying, because at that time, the NFL was transitioning from smaller cornerbacks to kind of longer, bigger cornerbacks. Yep. And so just by him telling me that, I felt like that was kind of one of the best decisions I made, going and play cornerback. But, I mean, I love playing receiver, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a lack of hands, right? Because you got your first career interception last year.
That's right.
What was that like?
P.S., but I got the best hands in secondary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's hands down.
We're going to have to pass that off to some of the other guys back there.
They know that.
Well, that's been one of the knocks on the secondary a little bit with the corners. Obviously, Carlton and Jamel are 2 of the best corners in the NFL. I think depth-wise, the corner position is great for the Bucs. That's been one of we asked Carlton about this at minicamp where, we asked him if he's an all-pro, and he essentially said, I'm about 80% there. I just got to get my hands on the ball more. That was another thing. Your cornerbacks coach, Kevin Ross, was like, yeah, he's there. He just got to catch the damn ball. And he was mad about it when he said it. So that seems like more turnovers might be the next thing. But going back to your interception against the Bears, I was watching the play before. When you caught it, did it go into your head all right, I'm taking this to the house? Because you had about, 10, 15 yards of before you see other players on the screen kind of get close to you. Did you think you had a chance to take it to the house for a pick six?
Honestly, I mean, it was just a blur, man. I was just happy. Honestly, yeah. I mean, that was my first career interception. It was kind of a blur. I wanted to go to the touchdown, but I was just happy just to get an interception, honestly.
Do you still have that football?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Had to keep that.
All right.
Do you have it framed or anything like that?
Nah, not yet. I'm currently in the process of building a house and everything. So once I do all that, I'll get my man cave right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about the best hands in the secondary, and speaking of the secondary, I noticed you have an SMB hat on there, right?
Oh yeah. I kind of
Okay.
begged for this for about a year. He finally gave me it this all season.
Nice. What have you like learned from those guys back there? How much have they helped influence you and what you added to your game? I know they all bring a little bit of different. Dean's got the speed. Carlton Davis is like a shutdown cornerback, and obviously, he's has the most pass deflections in the league since he entered it. Sean Murphy-Bunting's got that versatility to play inside and outside. What have you kind of picked from them? And having Sherm there last year too must have been a great experience. So, like, what have you picked up from all the guys you've been around and applied to your game?
I think with Carlton Davis, I picked up just play your game. You know what I'm saying? Block out the noise. You know what I'm saying? If you know you're good, you good. Just play your game. With Dean, I felt like I learned just to trust yourself. I feel like Dean, sometimes he trusts his speed more than anything. He know he fast, so he just going, I'm gonna wait on curl. If you want to go, I'm gonna go. With Sean, I would say just as confident, you know what I'm saying? Sean more of a smooth guy, you know what I'm saying, casual. And then, like you said, with Sherman coming out, I felt like Sherman was huge, he helped us a lot with, as far as just the playbook, being able to see play before it even happened. And, Antoine, toughness. I think he's the best tackle on the team, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Mike Edwards, definitely a ball guy. So, me and Mike, we kind of click. That's that. I'm definitely a ball guy. So, I don't know. I learned a lot from those guys, man.
Just want to give a shout out to some of our fans here. Very excited to see you. Nathan says, D, South Carolina, the Citadel, go D. We had another one here. Jerm Deasy says, Dee Delaney with multiple exclamation points. So again, thank you so much for joining the show. The fans are very excited to see you. Moving over to, this year a little bit, we already spoke a little bit about like OTAs and mini camp. And one of the other guys playing with you now in the cornerback room is rookie Zyon McCollum. What have you seen from him in those practices? And do you feel like he's understanding the playbook even more?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, he's going to be a good cornerback. I'll give him maybe a year before he really clicks, but maybe not even a year, but just seeing him at OTAs. I mean, me and him, we kind of connected early. Like, it's crazy because I was like, the first couple of days, he had a chance to get a lot of interceptions. I was like, man, you can't really catch too good. I see what's your downfall. We just playing around with each other. So me and him, we kind of actually like made a competition, see who can get the most pick each and every day. And then I see how fast and how big he is. I'm like, man, this guy, he's going to be somebody special, man. I mean, I think the Bucs did a real good job as far as drafting him, getting him. I think they got a real good steal in him. He's going to be good in a couple of years.
Yeah, he was one of the most exciting draft picks that the Bucs had. A lot of us were saying that was like the steal of the draft for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Sorry, JC, didn't want to cut you off there.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, he out of the history of the combine, he had the highest relative athletic score, with just his speed, size, his ability to cone the drills, everything was 40 time. So yeah, I mean, he brings it in multiple. Plus, he's got, he's 6'2". He's a big
he's a big dude, and he can play nickel and corner. So I mean, it's like you got a dual person and one person right there by itself. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So you have. I was gonna say, I mean, he's part of the competition, obviously, with the draft pick comes, but you're also competing against guys like, the fastest guy on the team, Rashard Robinson, and Ross Cockrell, who's, cross-trained at safety. You got a couple undrafted guys with Kyler McMichael and Don Gardner there. That competition is going to be fierce for you guys. What have you been doing to kind of give yourself that leg up? Give yourself. Obviously, you have time in the system, but is there anything that you've been working on specifically to stand out amongst that competition group?
I was trying to learn a nickel position a little more. Just playing cornerback is all right, but I feel like the more you know, the more they can use you. So learn a nickel, learn a little safety, and I mean, just trusting my ability to go out and make plays. That's really all it is about.
Todd Bowles loves versatility more than anything else. And I mean, we've even seen like occasionally Antoine Winfield Jr. will line up at nickel or will line up at the line of scrimmage and go after the quarterback. So absolutely, the more you can do, the more it's going to help the Bucs and help yourself for this season. You mentioned talking with Zyon and having a little competition and what you've learned from some of the other corners on the team. Can you just speak about the chemistry that you have specifically in the secondary? It just seems like, a lot of you guys are similar in age, and it seems like everyone just gets along so well, and that helps so much. Communication is obviously key in this league, especially, at that corner position. Just talk about the chemistry that you guys have built.
I mean, I feel like everybody in the back end kind of respect each other. Like you said, we kind of young, so nobody really like overbearing the conversation or, oh, I know this, I know that. Everybody just kind of, okay, taking your suggestions, taking the next person's suggestions, and we just rolling with it. Like you said, we're a young group. So we just got to roll with each other, trust each other that everybody going to do their job. That's what I really like about the back end.
Another guy on this team, an undrafted free agent, plays wide receiver, but you played against him in OTAs and minicamp, and that was Devin Thompson. Sorry, Devin Tompkins, so my apologies. What have you seen from him? Because a lot of people are really fired up about him. He obviously brings the speed and seemed really coordinated out there. So what do you see from him?
Like you say, speed. I mean, speed, quickness, can catch, get to the ball. And I mean, just explosive plays. That's one thing that I know that Tom Brady really likes, that he can catch the ball and be explosive. But I mean, going against him, he's something like Sarah and Scotty Miller. Like, you can't just say, okay, I'm gonna just play him safe. Nah, you gotta actually play against him, because if not, he'll go on top of you real quick, fast. So, like I said, I ain't the fastest, but I'm all right.
I think you're selling yourself short. I really do. You got to give yourself some credit.
See, one thing about me, I feel like I'm a realist, so I know I'm not the fastest, but I know football is all about angles. So you got to be able to know, you got to be true to yourself.
Well, you ran a 4.4 in coming out of college. I mean, that's not slow at all. It's not 4.3, but
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like I'm slow, but I just know like those guys, like you got to think they only like 180 pounds, 170 something pounds. I'm 200 pounds, 205. So it's like, I just can't play around and say, okay, I'm going to get running when he going. No, I won't ever catch him.
Right. You got to be moving before he's moving.
Definitely.
And I feel like at the corner position, a lot of it too is reading the play and almost like the anticipation of it. For example, one of my favorite football players of all time is Darrelle Revis, Revis Island. Like, we all know about that. And Revis was like fast, but he was never known as like the top-notch speed type of guy. But just like that 2009 season when he went up against like T.O., Randy Moss, Ocho Cinco, Steve Smith, and the list goes on and on and on. The way he was able to just react before the ball was even thrown, like he knew where the receiver was going to go. The anticipation of the play was like what really made him the stud cornerback that he is and future Hall of Famer. Is that something that goes into it? Like, whether it's film study as well, when it comes out to being like a top corner?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of film study. And like you said, just learning tendencies. I mean, all receivers going to end up doing the same thing. They're just going to start off a little different, but at the end, the routes all are the same. So Revis, he kind of perfected what he know. He good at what he do. He not the fastest, but he know as long as my technique is there, I know what the receiver going to run. I watch a lot of film. I just got to trust and believe that he's going to run what I seen on film. So, I mean,
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
No, I was just going to elaborate on what Maddie said. I mean, you're talking about Revis going up against some of the top wide receivers. Obviously, you go up against one of the top wide receivers every day in practice with Mike Evans. But who like gave you the most trouble last year? Like, who were you like, oh man, this guy is now I know why he's talked about so much, or something like that.
So last year, I mean, I really kind of was like a special team guy in my mind. So I wouldn't be like, oh, man.
You had a bunch of snaps on defense. Don't sell yourself short.
You talk about like against Bucs or against like opponents?
Opponents, like
what's the guy from Washington? Terry
McLaurin.
He's pretty
Scary
good.
Terry.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I ain't gonna lie, he's pretty good. He's good at what but he's so small. He's good at what he do. So I think he was pretty solid.
Interesting. And you look at the schedule this year, a lot of daunting opponents, but makes for a lot of great matchups, whether it's, a rematch with the Rams. You play the Ravens this year. Obviously, the first month of the schedule is a pretty intense one with the Cowboys, the Saints, the Chiefs, and the Packers as well. Is there any opponent in particular that you're looking forward to facing? And just what's your overall view of the schedule that's a little bit more difficult than maybe it was last season?
I mean, like Coach Bowles told us, they got to play just how like we got to play. You know, they put their pants and jersey on just like us. You know, everybody's saying, oh, it's going to be a tough schedule. But, yeah, it's going to be tough on us, but it's going to be tough on them also.
Ooh.
I mean, I just felt like one team I want to play, or person I want to play against is Cup. You know, I felt like going against him that one time. He caught the ball on me. I mean, I was all right, but I feel like I need to get my rematch against him.
Okay.
You know?
I like it. Yeah, I think a lot of Bucs fans and your teammates as well kind of want to get that revenge against the Rams for the way the season kind of ended last season. How long did it take to get over that?
I mean, which one? I think the last one hurt us the most because, you know, we felt like we knew everything they was going to do. You know, I mean, early on, it didn't really go our way. I felt like we kind of started off slow, but we knew what they was going to do on defense. And, I mean, I felt like that one kind of hurt the most because we fought, and it just didn't go our way in the end. So it probably took a couple of weeks to get over.
I mean, you guys were down to a bunch of players. I mean, you lose Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown does his thing earlier, and then, you know, Tyler Johnson leaves the game. And now, I mean, you can't make excuses for injuries, but I feel like a rematch with a healthy Bucs team might be a different outcome there. And we'll get to see that this season and potentially in the playoffs. The Saints too. I mean, they had your number.
Oh man,
you know,
I forgot about them.
Like, what's that? I know you've only been here for a year, but that rivalry, the locker room goes, you play the game. What's that like? You know, are you automatically like, oh, I hate the Saints? Does it happen like once you're playing the game, like, now I know why I hate this, why everyone hates this team? What's that rivalry like?
I mean, I feel like I don't really hate the Saints. I don't know. I just feel like the Saints, those guys, they want to try to come and punk you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's their attitude. They want to punk you. They want you to know that, okay, I'm the toughest. But, I mean, I don't really, there's no hate or nothing towards them. I mean, they just, hopefully this year we beat them. That's all I can say.
Yeah. At least, I know you weren't on the team, but at least, you know, the Bucs have struggled against the Saints the past couple of years. But when it mattered most in the postseason, obviously, you know, the Bucs got it done then. Did want to ask you a little bit. You talked about special teams before. That's obviously a very important part of the game and a part where, you know, you've made an impact as well. What has it been like working with Coach Armstrong? Obviously, he's the special teams coach. And was that something that kind of coming on this team that you were thinking like, all right, I got to make my mark here. This is how I'm going to go and solidify myself as a key player to this team? Or is it something that you kind of just picked up along the way and now have kind of flourished at that position?
So honestly, I mean, I looked at the roster and I said, they got 3 drafted guys on their team at cornerback. The chance of me playing is slim, but I know it's an open spot at the 4th spot, and I know special team is huge, you know. And they just released, they let Ryan go, who was their special team ace. So I felt like, well, if I don't get on the defense side, I at least got to go on the special team. So, I mean, that was kind of my main goal, going hard on special team, making an effort to do the extra mile on special team and showing coach that, okay, this guy, he can play defense, but he really going to give me his all on special team. I can trust him.
Yeah, and one of the guys that was a special teams ace for the Bucs last season was Grant Stewart. What do you see from him? I mean, I think if correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he led the Bucs in special teams tackles, and just, you know, every time you look, you see him flying down the field, and obviously his hair is blowing in the wind, so it kind of like adds to the whole presentation of it.
Yeah, I mean, Grant, he got a lot of energy. He got a lot of energy every time. Before he like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go down and make the tackle. Or Deion Fastener, you know, it's a competition for Grant each and every time. So, I mean, just having him out there with all the energy that he have, I think is real good. I think hopefully this year he takes off even better than he did last year. But, yeah, I mean, he's a fast guy.
Yes, lots he is. Speed all over that defense this year. You know, you bring in the Bucs bring in Akeem Hicks to pair with Vita Vea. You got those 2 big guys up front. What that addition goes hand in hand with the secondary, right? When you have pass rush like that and 2 big guys who are going to consume 3 blockers and allow the pass rush to get there a little bit more, how impactful that is for someone like you who plays cornerback to have that extra second and be able to, you know, maybe them force an errant throw for you to get in front of, or just limited time for a receiver to get open? How impactful is that for you?
I mean, I think that's huge. Like you say, you got two force in nature up there. Carlton have it each and every down. I mean, as a cornerback, you couldn't ask for nothing better. But I mean, as a cornerback, there's no excuses now. You can't have excuses of why you not make your plays or why they're catching the deep ball, because you expecting the guys up front to do their job and they expect you to do your job in the back end. So I mean, I think adding Akeem Nixon, Vita Vea, I think that's gonna be really huge for the defense.
And it kind of goes into what you were saying, like in practice, like when you have those guys knowing that they're going to bring it that much quicker and allow the edge guys to get there, you can't sit back, right? You can't kind of ease into it because the ball is probably going to come out quick. How much does that benefit you when you're doing your film study to be able to know these tendencies of the wide receivers so you can read and react that quickly to maybe utilize those best hands in the secondary there and get some interceptions?
I mean, like you said, anticipation, you being able to read and react faster. You kind of know, like, okay, he's gonna do a dig, but you know that, okay, I got Akeem Hicks and Vita Vea up there, so his dig might got to cut down a little shorter because they're more worried about the pressure than the route running. You know what I'm saying? So the quarterback might throw a bad ball, but by knowing the routes or knowing the tendencies, you'll be there before the receiver even get there. So like I said, I mean, it all goes together.
As we start to wrap up things here, and Dee, we really appreciate your time. Thanks again for joining us. I just have two more questions. One of them is, you've been in the league for a couple of years now. I'm just curious, what is something when you first entered the NFL, what is something that now that you wish you knew when you first got into this league?
It's business, never personal. I mean, that's probably the major thing that I learned. You can't really take things personal in the NFL because a lot of things that's not in your control. So it's just like a regular job with all business. Treat it like a business.
How hard is follow-up question? Sorry, Matt. How hard is that as like a 22-year-old kid coming out, 21-year-old kid coming out of college to make that distinction that this isn't personal, this is business? Because I mean, you're still young. If you were, you're in Miami where there's no rules. I mean, maybe it helped you a little bit going to Citadel because you had that structure. Yeah. But for like the normal person coming out, how difficult is that to really distinguish the two?
I think it's real difficult. I think that's why a lot of guys, like a lot of rookies, kind of lose their way because they're thinking, okay, I know I'm good, but a lot of times it don't have anything to do with you being good. It's just more on the business side, and that's something you can't control. So now once you're worrying about, why this and why that, now you kind of lose focus of what you really trying to do because you trying to control the business side of things. So that's why, I mean, I just, like I said, control what I can control and understand that it's all business, never personal.
And on top of that, just going into the training camp starting next week, very excited for it. How much are you looking forward to it, and what can we expect from you this season? And how much are you looking forward to like seeing the fans in the stands? Obviously, last year was a little more limited as we get through all the COVID restrictions, but now like it'll be full force with the fans. Just what are your goals and expectations for yourself?
I'm ready to get back. My wife and daughter, they're ready to get back to Tampa. I'm ready to just get back on the field. Being away for a couple of days, couple of weeks felt too long, but my expectations for this year, I mean, of course, make the 53 again. And honestly, I wanna be the starting cornerback. I don't wanna be a backup anymore. So Dean, be on the lookout. Carlton, be on the lookout. You gotta bring your A game each and every day. It's a competition, and my goal, I want to at least have 4 interceptions.
Oh, that was actually one of the questions from people watching here. Li3 said, "D, how many picks are you getting this year?" I guess we'll put the number at 4.
Yeah, I want to at least, I'll say 4 or 5. Just want to push myself. Cause I mean, I know that I'm capable of doing it. I just gotta work hard and grind for it. And I'm actually happy to see the fans. Me being away from the NFL for a long time, I know what it feels like. So I know the fans, they're really happy to get back. They love to get back, just be around players and stuff like that. So I'm ready to see them back in the stands.
I got 2 quick ones for you too before we let you go. I know your time is precious and we appreciate it. First off, every cornerback or every player's got a guy they look up to, right? And they, they watch as their kid, watch as they're in college. Who is the guy for you? Who have you like idolized coming into this, and like what did you like take from his game and try to apply it to yours? Who's that guy for you?
So it's crazy. I had 2 favorite players: Antonio Brown, and Richard Sherman.
Oh wow!
Those are my 2 favorite players. But my
Both
favorite player all time, Randy Moss. But in this era, AB and Richard Sherman. I mean, I watch those guys highlights probably every day. Me and my team, I watch them every day.
That's awesome. And then you
That's
get all world.
Yeah,
That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible. It kind of all comes full circle. And you get to be teammates with Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, and you get to go up against him in practice.
exactly.
So you're surrounded by Hall of Famers, man. Like Mike Evans, obviously Tom Brady. It's quite the experience, I would imagine.
Definitely. I mean, I couldn't even, because it's crazy. I mean, this disclaimer, I'm a Steelers fan. So once you got Le'Veon Bell, like, God dang, we got everybody to score now.
And you're gonna get to go to Pittsburgh this year.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's all crazy, man. It's crazy how everything works itself out, man.
Oh yeah, it's a crazy experience. So that was kind of my second question too. I mean, first of all, where were you when Tom retired? Where were you when he retired? And just what's it like? Just, you know, have you caught an interception off him in practice yet? What's it been like? Just practicing, and how has he made you better? Because I mean, Tom is a guy. I mean, I spoke with Keon Crossan. I don't know if you know him, special teams cornerback, but he told me a story about his rookie year where he walked into a meeting and Tom Brady has his binder and he's sitting there taking notes, like dedicated, like he's a rookie again, and actually came up to him and say, "Hey, Keon, when you see this in practice, you know, what does it show you?" Because he's running scout team or whatever. So like, have you had any of those interactions with Tom where he's pulled you aside and or just how's he made you better?
So I never had any reaction with him, and you know what I'm saying, never really. I spoke to him here and there, you know, joking and laughing and stuff like that. But I feel like just seeing him in person and watching how he moved. So when I was hurt, you know, we had to be up to the facility like 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. And only people there, coaches or trainers. But it's crazy when I get in there, Tom Brady right there, getting out of his car, going, I'm wondering where you going at? Why you here so early? So, you know, it's just seeing him, how he prepared each and every week. Like you said, when Coach Aaron to come into the locker room or to the facility, he got his binder out, taking notes. Like he's a rookie. It's a Hall of Fame quarter we talking about here, but he's taking notes. You know, just watching that, I feel like I learned a lot from him and just how to prepare each and every week before the game.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great insight. Dee, we can't thank you enough for joining the show today. We really appreciate it. Good luck this season. We'll obviously be watching you up close and personal at training camp starting next week. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me anytime.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dee.
All right, thank you.
Dee Delaney, ladies and gentlemen. And as we transition, I do want to tell everyone about Pin Chasers. It's the number one bowling place to go to in the Tampa area. There are multiple locations. There is East Pasco, Zephyr Hills, Midtown Tampa, and Veterans Tampa. Obviously, we're in that town. There's one very close to the Advent Health Training Center where the Buccaneers will have training camp starting next week and where they have their practice during the season. But it's more than just going to a bowling lane. It's a great night out with friends and family. Whether you're going at night or you want to go during the day in the summertime, I mean, it's freaking hot out there. So to get into the AC is obviously a huge plus. And the food is very underrated. Pizza's great. Chicken tendies, awesome. Nachos, over the top, great. So make sure you go to pinchasers.net to reserve a lane or book a party. They have different deals all the time, whether it's all you can eat pizza, $1 Miller Lights, all you can bowl, brunch on the weekend. So just, again, go to the website. They have so many different deals. There's got to be one for you. You'd also reserve a lane or book a party. They got an arcade. So if you want to book a party, a birthday party for your kid, they can bowl, they can play video games, do the whole thing. So go to pinchasers.net and make sure you head out to the lanes because you'd be supporting a fellow Buccaneer fan with their owner, Anthony Peroni. He is a season ticket holder. And, you know, we want Bucs fans to help other Bucs fans. So Pin Chasers, the ultimate bowling lane. What's up, JC?
I was gonna say you never know who you're gonna see because I mean I was on Instagram last week and lo and behold, Donovan Smith at Pin Chasers bowling. I mean I don't know what location he goes to, but you never know who you're gonna see. Bucs players, you know, there's a bunch of them that like to bowl on this team. What a great interview with Dee, huh?
Absolutely, that was truly great. That was truly great because he's still, you know, fairly new to the Bucs. He's only been there for a season because we didn't have open locker room. You don't get to know as many of the new players as much as guys that have been there for a couple of seasons. And, D has spoken, at the press conferences, but not as much as Mike Evans and, all the other star players. Yeah, Carlton and Devin White and players of that, of the roster. So, yeah, ilk. I was trying to find the right word. But really a lot of interesting stuff to take away. Best hands on the team in the secondary, JC. That was definitely something I didn't necessarily expect him to say. He's got a little bit of like a quiet confidence to him. Like in the sense, a little swagger. I've noticed this in some people where it's like they do it in a respectful way, but they know like humble they brag. Are yes, it's a humble brag. And I think the fact that he was able to solidify himself on the team last season, got some playing time as a corner because of the injuries, but, still got some playing time as a corner, contributes on special teams. If I were him, I'd be feeling confident, not in the sense of like, I'm already making the team, but you got to have that confidence going into this season that, he can make the 53-man roster again.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and especially not just building off last season, but what he put on tape too. I mean, he put some good things on tape last season, obviously the interception. And then you talk about the special teams play as well. I think it kind of gives him a leg up because we know the Bucs are stacked at the top 4 positions at cornerback. Sean Murphy-Bunting, Dean Davis, and Zyon McCollum aren't going anywhere. So when it comes to those next spots, and you can make that case about any of the other spots, it's going to be special teams. And while Rashad Robinson, was pretty good on special teams, I think when you look at what Dee Delaney did, 276 snaps, 4 tackles, he played on not just the top 4 kick return, punt return, kickoff, punt. He also was on field goal blocks as well. I mean, so he played all core special team spots, and he showed out. Rashad Robinson did a very good job on special teams too. Played over 120 snaps. Dee Delaney played more snaps than him and had more tackles. Rashad Robinson only had 1 tackle and he had 3 misses. So if you're comparing the two, and you got a guy who's really hungry, who wants it. Now, Ross Cockrell's there still too, and that's the big question mark, right? Because he's got the experience, but his speed didn't really, and I wrote about this in the camp preview, he's got the smarts and instincts for it, but there's times where he was playing last year in the slot that his speed wouldn't let him catch up and it wouldn't translate, and that's not an issue with Dee Delaney. So I think he's in a really good spot, whether the Bucs keep 5 or 6 cornerbacks. I don't see him unless, someone, Kyler McMichael or someone comes out of nowhere. I don't see a spot where he's not on this team because of his special teams contribution and what he put on tape as a corner last year.
And I'm excited about the depth in the secondary as well. Let's remember they brought in this guy, Logan Ryan, and obviously Keanu Neal as well. Yeah. So, like, I think in terms of the secondary, sure, there's going to be questions about SMB. Whether or not he could hold on to the nickel corner position. But let's remember, if he struggles, that's where like Logan Ryan will be key. And, same thing with Neal in terms of he's going to play safety, and Mike Edwards, that's his job. But if there's certain things that aren't exactly lining up for the Bucs defense, they have the guys in there that can go and again, be versatile, which is Todd Bowles' favorite thing about players in the secondary. I'm more optimistic about the Bucs secondary than I think I was earlier in this offseason because of guys like this on the screen.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me still about the Bucs secondary, and it's not a huge deal, and I wrote about it, is the run defense. How do you replace what Jordan Whitehead gave you? And if you do think the replacement is with Antoine Winfield Jr., now you're taking guys out of position. Now you're taking him out of position to play more on the box when he's great as a free safety. I will say, Dee Delaney, though, he did have the 3rd highest grade on the team in the cornerback room as far as run defense. So he can come down in the box and contribute in that, and that's going to help him as well make this roster. So, looking at what he was able to do, looking at the roster, the way it's constructed, whether they keep 4 safeties and 6 corners or 5 corners and 4 safeties, I think up and down the roster, like you said, the secondary depth is there at both positions, at safety and at cornerback. So if something were to happen, which let's hope it doesn't, with the injuries this
honestly,
year,
JC, it can't happen again because it just they got so ravaged by injuries last season. I just think it's almost impossible for that type of
luck.
Just that type of injury across the board. And even at wide receiver too. I think of 2 things. I think of the 2019 season, so Bruce Arians' first year here, where Mike Evans had a hamstring. It was like Oprah giving out cars. It was like, you have a hamstring injury. You have a hamstring injury. You have a hamstring injury. It was Evans. It was Godwin. It was Scotty Miller. And that's when Rashad Perryman, became the guy for a while and did well in that role. But that was a couple seasons ago. I don't think it's the same type of Perryman that, we saw last year and going to this year. But, last season too, obviously the Chris Godwin injury, not having other players really able to step up when Antonio Brown left, where, you had questions about
Antonio
Tyler
Brown
Johnson and Scotty Miller, obviously injured too.
It wasn't even when Antonio Brown left too. Remember, he was suspended for 3 games for the fake Vax card too. So that's when they had to bring up guys like Rashad Perriman and elevated guys like Cyril Grayson. I mean, it wasn't just injuries; it was suspensions that played a part as well too. And you're right. I mean, that can't happen again. You're not going to lose Mike Edwards and Antonio Brown or Russell Gage this time for 3 guards for a fake Vax card, or you just can't. You just can't be hit that hard again with injuries at 2 specific positions. It's crazy. But, if they are guys like Dee Delaney, who we just heard from, I think provides solid depth. Guys like Cyril Grayson, who we've heard from I think those provide serious positive depth at spots where the Bucs have had injuries over the course of, the last couple seasons.
Yeah, that has been the case. I want to get to a question here from Nathan. And a little bit of a different subject here, but he says, how do you replace Sue? Not missing games, stopping the run. That may be the beast that will be missed in stopping the run. Nathan, thanks for the question, but I think they already addressed that. They brought in Akeem Hicks, who we spoke about a little bit with D. They obviously drafted Logan Hall. So in terms of replacing Sue, I think a lot of people really said that the Bucs did a solid job with that with Logan Hall and with Hicks in there. I think with Hicks, obviously, it's a matter of will he be healthy for the season, because he had that the injury issues last year. But at the end of the day, we've seen the Bucs in the past when one guy goes down on the defensive line, everyone else picks up the slack and really puts it together. And as long as Vita Vea is in the middle doing the things that Vita Vea does at nose tackle, I'm not overly concerned about replacing Ndamukong Suh, because I think the Bucs have already done that.
And I will say now, PFF is not the end all be all, guys, on their grading and everything like that. But if you look at PFF, and I know he missed some time last season, Akeem Hicks finished with a 66% run grade, 66 grade against run defense. Well, Ndamukong Suh finished with a 50.2. And Vita Vea, who we know is such a strong run defender, he finished with a 63.9. So, in fact, they didn't really lose anything in the run defense department. They've actually gained it, according to PFF's grades and the way they grade seasons. Not only that, but they also gained someone who is just an experienced and intimidating pass rusher who automatically vaults to the top of what the Bucs had last year, with a 71.9 pass rush grade. I mean, that's the best grade that if he was on the Bucs last year, the only person that would have came or rivaled that was Patrick O'Connor with a 72.1.
I was going to say Tupac, his Instagram account. Again, just a reminder, everyone, Pat O'Connor is going to be the defensive player for the Bucs training camp diaries, which will be coming out soon because training camp, again, is right around the corner. The offensive side of the ball will be friend of the program, Rachaad White, the running back that the Bucs drafted this year. Very exciting player. I think we're all very excited for the potential that he could have in year one for him in this Buccaneers offense. So make sure you keep a lookout for that. And just a reminder for everyone too, next week with training camp starting on Wednesday, we are going to shift around our podcast schedule just a little bit. All the episodes are still going to be at 4:00, so don't have to worry about that. We are going to go next week, Monday. We're going to set the stage for training camp, talk about the storylines, talk about the matchups, everything that you want to see and hear from training camp. We'll be talking about that on Monday's show. There will not be a show on Tuesday, which, think about it like the regular season. We normally wouldn't do a Tuesday show because the players are off that day. So we'll do Monday, no show Tuesday, and then training camp starts Wednesday. So we're going to do show Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, recapping all that we saw from all those days of practice. JC, what matchup player are you most looking forward to watching?
There's so many, but I think we just wrote about this in our roundtable from last week. So if you haven't read that, I'll let you know what mine was. But if you haven't read it, go read and see all of our matchups and our reasonings. But I'm really excited to see Luke Gedeke. I want to see him. I want to see him in that role. Because I've seen Aaron Stinney, right? Aaron Stinney played a massive role on the Bucs' way to winning an NFC Championship game, and then ultimately the Super Bowl. I haven't seen Gedeke, and Gedeke, unlike guys like Marpet and Alex Cappa, who have made the switch from tackle to guard, didn't have to go against Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks to start his career. So, if anything, it's like Tristan Wirfs. It's like Tristan Wirfs 2 years ago. He got thrown into the fire. He was going to get Shaq Barrett, who's coming off 19.5 sacks season, and JPP, who, so like he was thrown in the mix and in the fire, and it was like, hey, learn on the fly. And that's what Gedeke's going to have to do against these two mountain of men, behemoth, giant size people. I don't know how to describe how big their mass is. It's incredible. And, it's going to be sink or swim. He's going to be thrown into the flash pan, and he's either going to come out on top and win that spot, or he's going to, secede it to somebody else. And I'm excited to see that. The trenches are always fun to see because, especially, we haven't seen them. Well, we've got to see the wide receivers, we got to see the cornerbacks, we got to see the tight ends, running backs. We haven't got to see the line because there's no pads in the offseason work. So excited to see that.
Yeah, that really is their time to shine once the pad's going. I think one of the funnest things about training camp is when the offensive linemen and defensive linemen really they go one-on-one against each other. And that's where you really see, who's the best of the best, who's really earning their money. And speaking of money, the best place to allocate your money and plan for retirement or whatever you have going on in your life, the best place to go and do that is with Amuni Financial.
At Amuni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Dude, congratulations. We're so happy for you. Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you?
Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. Amuni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
JC, I know the Bucs have a very exciting schedule this year, but I kind of wish they were playing the Broncos again like they did 2 seasons ago, because that would mean we'd all be taking a trip out to Colorado.
Bro.
I really do need to get there. It's on my list of places that I do want to visit. But when you're managing your family's wealth, make sure you go to Amuni Financial, because it's simply more than allocating your assets. Pewter Report and Scott Reynolds trust Amuni Financial with our investments and retirement funds, and you should trust them too. Call 1-800-868-6864 and talk to David or Mark. They're awesome people over there because they'll tell you all about the different kinds of services that they have. There's legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts, college savings accounts, and more. Once again, that's 1-800-868-6864 and get started with Amuni Financial today. I really can't wait to get started for training camp. I People have different opinions of it in terms of, like, for example, Scott Reynolds has been doing this for over 2 decades. So he's kind of he's ready to just hit the fast forward button and get to the regular season. I feel that you get some of the best up close and personal viewings from being at training camp, seeing competition every single day. I think it's the best. I have so much fun covering training camp each season.
I absolutely. This is going to be my third season. First season was very limited because I was with a different outlet who wasn't as, highly credentialed as Pewter Report is. So plus it was COVID, so I was only able to go out a few times. Last season was awesome. We were doing the rotation with me, you, and John. Got to go out a bunch of times. It was great. Got to go out there for joint practices against the Titans. There's something like, and we talked about this when minicamp came around. There's nothing like hearing a Tom Brady cadence any time of the year, but there's nothing like hearing a Tom Brady cadence and then hearing the pads smacking each other, especially when it's joint practices, which we'll get with Miami here in Tampa today. So I am so excited. I definitely need to lose some weight, and training camp is one of the best ways to do it because you just let your. I know we're not doing a Manscaped promo, but man, that package that Scott sent me last year definitely helped to refresh myself after practices because it is hot out there. Overshare, but. I can't wait, man. And we got rookies and quarterbacks reporting on Saturday, so I'm sure the Bucs will put out some good tidbits and videos of that. And then next Wednesday, it's on. First day of practice after the veterans report on Tuesday, and I cannot wait. I'm so sick of writing about lists. Trying to diversify.
I'm done. Honestly, man, I'm done with the list. With the list.
Trying to diversify what I'm writing about, but I mean, everyone's
the only other list I'm looking forward to is when the NFL Network does their top 100 players, and there's like all the background stories, and they interview a bunch of different players talking about their teammates or opponents and stuff like that. So I am looking forward to that list, but the rest of them, I think we've kind of we get the point of these players are good, these players are the best of the best, and everything else like that. But another great thing about another great thing about training camp is that we're going to have a lot more content just of, press conferences, videos, different things going on. And we're going to make sure we put that up on our social media and up here on our YouTube channel. So this is a great time to remind everyone to please like and subscribe to Pewter Report TV. Costs you absolutely nothing. Just gives you a heads up, a little head nod to let you know that we got a podcast coming out, that we have new videos up. Maybe there's a great quote from Tom Brady or Carlton Davis or Levante David, Devin White, you name it. Dee Delaney, a ton of great players with very fun and interesting comments as well. So we'll make sure we put up all that content on our YouTube channel here, Pewter Report TV. So make sure that you go ahead and subscribe. Costs you nothing. Just takes you a second and really be helping us out. So
and make sure you hit the notification bell too. So every time we're on, you get the alert that, hey, it's time to join the show.
That's right. So for JC Allen, I'm Matt Matera saying thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.